Hey, family, I'm here. How are you? Coming on today because I got inspired. Had lunch with a girlfriend, and she's my homie. And we were talking about a lot of things, but one of the things that came to my mind is I've been doing a lot of studying about trauma because, um, trauma is reactional. It is reactionary. When we have trauma in our lives, some of us are withdrawn, some of us are shy, some of us are not very nice people. And, it often puzzled me why some people can be like in a negative reactionary, or a person can literally almost like go invisible. And they go invisible because they can't handle the trauma has made them so sensitive to negativity. And then you got some people that will actually create negativity. And I often wonder like why. But I was watching this podcast, and the one thing that he said on this podcast is that, many doctors are trying to, I'm really, isn't this a lot of lipstick? But I'm at the bottom and I notice, sorry, y'all. This is Wooby Woo if you want to know. I don't have it in my merch, but this is my favorite lipstick. Y'all probably seen me use it over the years. I'm a creature of habit. But hi, thank you for coming on. From India. I think we got a lot of people. Hi, how you doing? So nice to have you on. So nice to have you. Hi, Jay. How are you? So nice to be able to spend some time with you right now. Thank you for showing up. You being here was meant for you to be here because a lot of times I don't give a warning when I'm coming on. I spend a lot of time in silence so I could hear my internal dialogue and what I want to share to you guys. And right now, I'm actually doing a series on healing. And the reason I'm doing that series is because, when you're unhealed and you haven't dealt with like the trauma that's lying in you, you literally are trapped in your body. Oh, thank you for the compliments. I appreciate it. Thank you. I went to lunch today with a girlfriend, and I like to, I like to show out when I go out. That's me. I like to show out when I go out. So I went to lunch, and I'm getting out of lunch and wanted to sit and talk with you. So as I'm talking with you, I just wanted to share that as we were having this conversation, you guys, we were having this conversation, and I started talking to her that I've been on my healing journey for quite some time. I am a coach, I am a hairstylist that coaches behind the chair. How interesting is that? So many of my clients come in for their services, but they also getting coaching. And so I have been very interested in breaking through into healing and literally empowering my clients and trying to empower people in the world and in my world and people that come on. We were talking about you know, um, healing and how that plays out in our individual lives. And like I'm on a healing journey, and I've been on a healing journey for quite some time. So in my healing journey, I've been going really diving deep. But what I'm finding out that the more you heal your body, it's almost unpeeling. Like if you have a cabbage and you're peeling the layers away, or if you have a banana and you peel the peel away, or sometimes you have deeper trauma, and it's like pomegranate. and you got to really dig in there to find yourself. But nevertheless, you're finding yourself. And the more you allow yourself to come to terms with how you feel and how the things in your life have made you reactive or recluse. There's so many definitions of when people are hurting. I have a client right now, and I remember when she came to me, the first thing she said, um, I don't want to be this way when I have my children. And I think the biggest thing when you're on the healing journey is get out of the ego and just really look at how you are really feeling, because a lot of times when you're in pain and when you're feeling all this trauma inside of you, you're reactive, so it affects your relationships, it affects your love relationships, it affects your your friendships, your family relations, and sometimes those traumas and the anxiety and the sober, yeah, exactly, you have social anxiety. I totally feel um how you feel that way. I and what people think, what people don't understand, that people that stay alone and they are alone, like they go, how can you do that? Like, are you, like, how can you do that? Like, people that have been into egregious trauma love to be alone. They don't have a problem with being alone. Others have a problem with them being alone, but they don't have a problem with being alone. And so it's so interesting as you begin to unpeel these intricate parts of ourselves and how we feel about ourselves. It really shows you um how much and how deep the trauma goes. And one thing that I have learned more than anything in the world, because I had a really intense breakthrough a few months ago. It was around March, and the trauma was so deep in my life that I didn't have a voice for it. I didn't have a voice to call it. I didn't have a name for it. It was so much a part of my life. It was a breathing part of me. It was how my heart beated. It was how I breathed in the world. And as I was watching this podcast, they said it was saying that we have doctors that are diagnosing diseases and diagnosing, cancer, terminal illness. But he said, until we understand, until we tap in and understand that trauma is the heart to all diseases. Trauma is the heart to all diseases. And we think it's genetic, which it can be genetic. It can be genetic, but genetics is not causing your disease. It's the genetics of trauma, years and years and years of trauma. They've done studies on people of color. The reason people of color have all these like high blood pressure and on all this stuff, because they're in constant trauma, not knowing, especially the men, not knowing when they're going to be pulled over, if they're going to be pulled over, if that pullover is going to threaten their life. Could you imagine just constantly being on alert because you don't know who's going to be reactive to you? You don't know if you're going to hear a scream, and that scream is going to disrupt your harmony. So, people that have had a lot of trauma, they don't want a lot of noise in their life. And there are those that create the noise because of their trauma. I don't think that is specific. It's not specific because we're all so different. We're different individuals embracing secretly what happened to us. And you get so many people in your world saying like you need to get over it. You will not be able to get over it until you heal it. Hi Denver, how are you? Nice. Thank you for coming over. Thank you for coming at the right time. Thank you for coming in a season time. You guys are all here because it's season. It's your season. It's your season to unlock the things that have kept you in shackles because of the fact of the deep, deep trauma that is unspoken, things that we consciously don't talk about. It's almost like it's a taboo to even talk about. But I am telling you because of my experience. Back in March, like I said, I had a big breakthrough, and that breakthrough was almost like you're forward for me. It was a coming to life for me. It was like a new understanding for me. I could literally understand my body. I could really understand what I was feeling. And one thing I want to tell you guys, is that when you start their journey of healing and you begin to work through that, and like I said, it's like unpeeling parts of yourself. It becomes painful to a place that when you get beyond the pain, it becomes joy. And the reason it becomes joy, because then you start realizing how great it feels to really be in your body and to really own your body for what it truly is, instead of hiding in the pain, instead of it's like we grab a blanket, something warm, and we get our pillow, and then we dive into the pain. Hi, hon. Who's this? It's calling me auntie. Do you know me? Let me see. Who's that? Give me your name. Give me your name. I got a big family. I got a big family. But hiding in your pain and hiding in all this. And what's so sad about it? Even the people that cause you the pain are in pain. And even their people that cause them the pain are in pain, because there's a direct link to pain. There's delay. That's why they call it generational. That's why they call it generational trauma. That's why they call it and trauma can be so egregious. Like a lot of us don't even want to even speak the word, how somebody made us feel, how someone hurt us, how somebody like really didn't see us. How could somebody be so abusive to a human soul because that abuse was done to them? And it was like when you get to that side that you begin to heal, you start seeing yourself like that fly on the wall. You begin to see like, wow, like how many people did I affect because I was in pain? How many people that I had influenced because I was so angry deep in my pain? Hi, Samuel. How are you? Oh, London. How are you? I love London. Are you guys as cold as we are right now? We're cold. It's cold. It's cloudy. We're getting a little rain. Come back. It's mad cold. Yeah. That's how we are right now. So, when I started realizing you will have small little tasks of healing. And in the small little tasks, you heal from them and you move on. And then you heal and you move on. But it's not like the tasks are getting smaller as you move on. The tasks become bigger as you move on. And the reason is because you're moving out the revel to deal with the big enchilada. And the big enchilada, the big source of your illness, your trauma, your dreams, you're not sleeping, um, how you view yourself, how you view others, um, starts being awakened within inside of you. And I want to share this with you, hoping that it will help you. Back in March, I had to go to a graduation. My daughter graduated from college. And part of this, I had to meet my ex husband. Now, my ex husband wasn't the beginning of my trauma. My trauma was already there. That's why I end up with him, because people that are in trauma have a hard time identifying healthy people because they're unhealthy. And when you're not emotionally healthy, guess what? You're going to hang out with unhealthy people because that's all you know. And if you have childhood trauma, you don't know anything else but trauma. You don't know how to distinguish or to see where good lies because you never seen it, right? It was hard. Maybe especially if you're a child of trauma, maybe you had a kid that knew, maybe you had maybe a friend that knew that you were going through these secrets in your home, or maybe you had a teacher that knew but didn't know how to identify it or didn't know how to help you, or there's many ways and reasons that we have hidden trauma and why we hide our own trauma because we are embarrassed, we are afraid. And so back in March, I had to see my ex-husband, which I was so traumatized by that marriage of 14 years that I literally did not see him for decades. Decades, you guys. And what was so interesting that when he was the boogeyman for many years after my divorce, many years, he was the boogeyman. I had nightmares for years. Years I had nightmares. And I remember the call that I got when I got the date of the graduation. Because, see, when someone traumatized you like that, not everybody in their world see the trauma. And what was so interesting, my daughter said, she literally asked me because she knew her father was not in her life. Is mad cold. She knew her father wasn't in her life because he wasn't. But I guess the last 2 years, he kind of surfaced into their lives. And I don't live in the same city as my children. And which hindsight, me not being in the same city with my children was actually a blessing in disguise because then I was able to get perspective of where I was in my healing, because a lot of things you hide from the people that you love. You're kind of embarrassed to speak the words, or sometimes you're vilified because you speak the words. What do you think about people that have had incest in their families, or those people that have been maybe raped at one time, or and all people, like, you cannot say it's just a man and woman thing. It's everyone has had some type of thing that governed their life because they were unhealed. And so it was rather interesting when she called me and she said, "Mom, I won't have my dad come to the graduation if you feel uncomfortable." So now it was put back in my lap because I didn't really want to have to deal with it. I was hoping that she would say, like, and then I would either be forced to go because he wanted to go, or she would say no, and then I didn't have to take responsibility for what I was feeling. So I remember her saying something to me, and we got off the phone. I did not give her an answer. I didn't say anything. I didn't say no. I didn't say yes. I didn't act like God. But I remember that thing in my throat, that lump, and one thing they say about trauma, that children that have trauma, they have a higher case of asthma. And the reason they have a higher case is because their cortisol is so high, they can't breathe. Cortisol, in levels of cortisol in your body, high levels of cortisol in your body, causes your blood to pump to your heart so fast that you have difficulties breathing. And that's why some children with trauma develop asthma. And it's so interesting because when I was a young person, I had asthma so bad that I could not breathe without a breathing machine. So it's kind of interesting that they're coming up with these new studies, and they're finding out that the direct cause of sickness is egregious trauma on a soul, a person, a child, a human being. And it's sad because we haven't, in the medical field, acknowledged that trauma can change your DNA. Trauma can change how you think. Trauma can cause you to be extremely angry. Why you think that people that go to jail that have done egregious things that we can't even speak about, when they go into the backyard of their lives, there was always some type of trauma behind it. So I decided to come on, and we were having, me and my girl was having this conversation. I started realizing that it's so important that you feel safe. You feel safe with dealing with the trauma that happened to you. You be safe with, hi Edward, how are you? That you have to be open to people that have extreme trauma, because they are trying to navigate through life when their whole life has been in the shadows of hiding from the pain, hiding from the trauma, hiding from how people see them in their trauma, and truly not being respected because of their trauma. Things were happening to me, not for me, because of trauma. But when I began to address the trauma, okay, it came back. I'm like, I'm frozen. Okay. So as we begin to address, when you start addressing it and seeing it for what it is, then you're able to have perspective. And like I said, in March, I had to make a crucial decision that was one of the biggest breakthrough in my life. And I had to make a conscious decision. Yes, I'm back. And you're back too. Thank you for coming back. Woo, woo, woo. Oh, we got to do a little commercial. Can we do a little commercial right now? Okay, you guys. I own a company called Hey Gorgeous You. It is hair extensions. Also, I'm going to put on the site, I have, you'll see a little lion on the side. That's going to be the alter ego. That's going to be a lot of my educational stuff. It's going to go on that site. I'm in the process of creating, but it's not very easy because I have to be inspired. And if I don't feel this inspiration, I don't move. I don't do anything. But anywho, I do have heygorgeousyou.com. Please check it out. And then if you look at my bio, yay, 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 I have a link tree, and those are all my favorite things. I even got things for men. So I got you. I got everybody. And also, um, someone kept asking me, why don't I have a Cash App? Now I got a Cash App. So if you want to support my channel, because this is my life now, like I say, I coach behind the chair, and I'm no longer a workhorse. I am a content creator horse. Okay. So I I am so appreciative that you guys came on. Please like, follow, share if you think people evolving, coming to their evolution is this is for them. Please let them know about this page. So let's go back to me in March. So in March, I had to make a crucial decision. So I went into meditation, and and this is so crazy. When you're healing, in some cases in healing, you don't know in your healing process where you're at in your healing until you're faced with the very thing you need to heal. So when my daughter told me that I had to go to I didn't have to go to, I wanted to go to the graduation, but my ex-husband was going to be at the graduation. Wow. This is where my test of healing was tested. And she gave me the option to say no or yes to having her father go, because she said, I want to respect how you feel. What? I'm gonna ignore that right now. But anywho, I'm gonna ignore that because I got to stay on point. Okay, so as I was challenged with this, I called my daughter and I basically said, honey, the graduation is all about you. This is your hour. This is your day. I am proud of the accomplishment, and whatever you want. If you want your dad to come, I am going to support that wholeheartedly. Oh my God, that was huge for me. That was huge for me. And that's when I knew I was really on a healing journey. So, as I'm here on this healing journey, having this conversation with my daughter, I'm preparing to go to see him. And I remember going into deep meditation because I really was going to see my daughter graduate, not to really see him. But I know my daughter, I know her very well. So I knew I was going to be in close proximity. I just knew. I just knew. And so the beautiful thing is that I have been working on the healing process with my ex-husband for a long, 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 long time. I have been doing healing, and I have been working on that. Now, I didn't know the extent of my healing until I went to the graduation. But prior to that, I began to get ready. I went into meditation. I did some shadow work. I did a lot of prayer. I spent a lot of time with myself to get perspective and asking for help because I didn't want to go back in trauma. Like I could my trauma was so bad with this man that I could smell him. Right? I could smell him. It just I would get, you know, just really, really hurting. Well, and it was just really hard, and I initiated our divorce. So so this was time for me to like really see where I was at in my healing. So while I was doing my integration, I began to have dreams, and about a week before. Now, let's go back in the past when I told you when I got divorced, I was having nightmares, like literally nightmares. But then as I started healing, the nightmares started going away. I started getting better, but I had nightmares for years and years and years, maybe decades, right? For a very long time. So, as I started working through those things, I stopped having nightmares. So when I decided that my to that I was going to be seeing my ex-husband, I started getting ready for that, and I had a nightmare. I had a nightmare of my husband literally on top of me. I was traumatized. I could not breathe. I began to like I felt like I was suffocating. I was trying to wake up. I could not wake up. And let me explain. My dreams were so bad years ago that my daughters would wake me out of my sleep to help me. And so being healed. So, guys, this is crazy. I just got thrown off my life and then came back. This is crazy. I'm getting interrupted. This is for someone. This is why I keep getting interrupted in this live. So this is the first time that now I'm faced with this dream again. And I remember the next day going to work and I couldn't even talk. I couldn't function. I literally was triggered in such a way that I couldn't even verbalize what I was feeling and make some sense to it, if you get what I'm saying. I could not even make sense to it. So So I began to, after I had the dream, I'm just sitting there and I asked Source, what are you trying to say to me? What are you trying to tell me? What? And this was a really interesting conundrum that I was in because I had been working on this particular healing for quite some time, many years, many, 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 many years. And for some reason I never saw the whole time I was going through my healing process, I never saw my ex-husband. What was so interesting about it too is that my ex-husband, my ex-husband, we lived in a small town, so I didn't really see him. I never saw him. I had friends that saw him. I had, family members that saw him, but I never saw him. And I always saw it as a protection from source to just protect me while I was in my healing process. And I'm telling you, you guys, that's for real. When you are dealing with trauma, I'm not moving. I'm not moving like it was a process of time. It took me a process of time. And it took me many years to get to where I'm at right now. But the crazy thing, as I started realizing that the dream was a test, and right after that dream, I started getting visions, and basically, what Source told me is return back his energy to him. And so I knew that when I was going to the graduation, one of the missions in my graduation, yes, is to be supportive of my daughter. She was getting her bachelor. So be supportive of her, be there for my family, be there and be authentic to myself. But another mission I had is to return the trauma back to him, to return the energy back to him that he had opposed on me for 14 years. And so it was the so weirdest thing because we're sitting at the graduation. The graduation is over. We're all, you know, how the students go outside and you wish them and you congratulate them. And my daughter said this word that brought silence to my soul. She goes, "Mom, for my memories, would you take a picture with Dad?" I was like, ah. And even though inside I was, "Ah," I told my daughter in a very calm voice, I go, anything for you. And so I go to sit next to my ex-husband. And I remember I was leaning like this, right? She was trying to take a picture up like this. Her dad is right there. You cannot see me. She goes, Mom, could you sit up? So I sat up. And then I remember what Source told me at that moment of time. He said, own who you are. Return him back his energy. Thank him for the experience and forgive him. And I forgave him. I literally forgave him. Now, you guys, that put me into a new level of healing. Not only did I heal from that, I literally felt sorry for him. He spent a lifetime trying to get in my presence, and I had did no contact, no lead, no contact. And he got to see me, a healed woman at the graduation of my daughters. And the thing was, he couldn't even see me because he's going blind. How crazy is that? And you see how the universe works. Those people that hurt you, you're not wishing anything on them, but the way karma works, it's on time at all times. You will always be vindicated. You will always be taken care of. Understand and know and realize your power lies in you. What you're doing is you're just removing the trauma that is keeping you from being your full self. Without my experiences, I would not be the people or the person that I am. And when I started realizing that I'm in this reality, when I realized, I'm sorry, I'm trying to read and listen, and I will look at the comments after I finish. Thank you all for coming in. You are beautiful people. But I thought I would share this because that was my journey to get me to the place. And you know, now that I think about it and I think back on all those times, and you know, um I ran into him because I was in trauma. I learned from him of the trauma that I endured all my life. And I became a coach because I wanted to make impact, because at the time when I was going through my healing process, I was really alone. I had 3 kids. I was a single parent, and I didn't have the resources to by the time I pay for counseling and the kids' school stuff, I just didn't have the resources for me. And I remember just taking time to myself and just really watching Oprah Winfrey. I would watch Oprah. My kids would come home from school and watching Oprah and crying because that's how I started healing. And then as my kids got older, and my kids had an amazing therapist, and she knew that I could not afford to be going to therapy all the time, but I was sacrificing to get my kids in therapy. And I remember there were times that she would say, and I love her to this day. Her name was Linda Brack. She was just an amazing woman. I remember she would tell me, she was, Sarah, why don't you, she goes, why don't you come in this time and I'll give your kids therapy next week. And I remember, she was our therapist for about 12 years, 12 or 13 years. And I remember one day she just called me and she goes, "Can I have a conversation with you? Don't bring the kids. I just need to talk to you." And I remember her telling me, she goes, "I just want you to know that you and your children's story, the things you guys have gone through, I want to thank you for trusting me, you and your family heal. I want to tell you that I appreciate you, and I'm going to leave family therapy, and I'm going to do private therapy because you inspired me to help women get through their trauma. I have learned so much from your relationship with your children, with you, watching you go through, me being an advocate for your children, me being an advocate for you. I want to do this privately. So remember, your trauma can help somebody. You coming to terms with where you're at. Wait, what? They just gave you cough syrup? No way. This is my girlfriend. Really. So it was it was it was like a beautiful thing that happened. And that's when I began to take my story and make my story work for me, that I could help other people, help other women, I've helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that I can't even keep count, because your story has value. Your story shows your strength. So thank you for showing up and showing out. And I do appreciate you. I'm so glad that you guys gave me a little time in your day. Remember my merch in my bio, and my Cash App is in my bio. Thank you so much for coming along on my journey. Have a good day.